Trump is moving fast, faster than even I thought he would, given the usual competence of those around him. The Republican Party controls every branch of government. The oligarchs are fully in the driver's seat, and the fascists, they're wasting no time in consolidating power. If we don't act now, we may not get another chance. This video isn't about what's happening. We know what's happening. This is about what we do next, because we will take the federal government back. But here's the truth. Elections alone won't do it. We are dealing with an entrenched donor class, a ruling elite that has no intention of letting go of power, and a movement that will use every tool available to them, from voter suppression to outright authoritarianism, to maintain control. So let's be very clear. We are not seeking violence, but we cannot rule it out, because history tells us one thing over and over. Fascists do not give up power willingly. And when we say by any means necessary, we need to understand exactly what that means. We are Enlightenment thinkers. We believe in democracy, reason, and justice. But those values mean nothing if they are not backed by real power. And the only way to break the fascist grip on the federal government is to build a working class insurgency that cannot be ignored, bought off, or co-opted. The time for waiting is over. Here's how we do it. Step 1. Local power must be secured first. This is not a fight that starts in Washington. It starts in your city, in your county, in your state. That's why the last video was all about running for office locally and organizing mutual aid networks. Because if we do not have a base of real power at the local level, we cannot win at the national level. If you have not started organizing yet, do it now. If you are not running for a local office, find someone who is, or step up yourself. We need an entire generation of working class candidates running for city council, mayor, state representative, governor. Why? Because when the time comes to fight at the federal level, we need state and local governments on our side. Trump is trying to consolidate power from the top down. We fight from the bottom up. And that means taking over state legislatures, county commissions, school boards, everything. Because once we control those institutions, we can start pushing back against the federal government. And when the time comes, that power is what will allow us to resist. Step 2. Break the donor class's grip on federal elections. Here's the hard truth. The federal government isn't run by the politicians you see on TV. It's run by the donor class, the billionaires, the corporate PACs, the dark money groups that fund both parties and ensure that no matter who wins, they remain in control. If we don't break their power, nothing changes. That means mass campaigns of small dollar donations to grassroots candidates, not just for president, but for Congress, for Senate, for governor, for every seat possible. Aggressive public financing campaigns at the state level, forcing states to fund elections with public money and ban corporate donations. Union and cooperative-led electoral efforts so that workers control election funding instead of billionaires. We need a new political infrastructure that is independent of the donor class. Because if we don't starve them of influence, they will continue to dictate policy no matter who we elect. And we cannot allow that to happen. Step 3. Flood Congress with working class candidates. This is where people say, well, Congress is rigged. We can't win there. Bullshit. If it was impossible, they wouldn't be fighting so hard to suppress the vote. If it was meaningless, billionaires wouldn't spend billions to buy those seats. And if we flood every congressional primary with working class challengers, we can break their hold, because they cannot rig every race. We need progressives running in blue districts, populist independents running in purple districts, even left-leaning Republicans running in deep red districts to sabotage them from within. The label does not matter. What matters is putting real people into power and cutting the oligarchs out of the equation. And when we do, we start passing real policies that make it impossible for fascism to take hold again. Step 4. Prepare for the worst. Hope for the best. Let's not be naive. Trump's movement is not going away quietly. The Republican Party is already moving to consolidate power, packing courts, purging voter rolls, rewriting laws to ensure permanent rule. We must be prepared for the reality that we may not be able to vote our way out of this, and that means organizing for direct action, general strikes. If workers refuse to cooperate with an illegitimate government, it cannot function. Mass protests and occupation movements, not symbolic marches, real disruption that forces a crisis. Regional and state level resistance. We need governors and state legislatures willing to defy federal orders when democracy is at stake. We do not seek violence, but we cannot rule it out, because when a government abandons democracy, when it becomes an instrument of corporate and fascist rule, the people have the right to resist by any means necessary. We will exhaust every peaceful option first, but if they leave us no other choice, history will not judge us for fighting back.